The recording is started. We are here with Jay from Aeons of Battle, the incredible YouTube.
I am Jay
he
from
is
Eons of Battle. Been doing YouTube for I guess 8 years with Eons of Battle, and then before that, I did YouTube videos with my friend, who we still run the channel together, Nick. And those videos are scrubbed from the internet. You cannot find them, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, to have you here on my little show, which everyone's like, "Oh, Doc, what's the intention behind your podcast? What are you trying to do?" Honestly, I'm just trying to use it as an excuse to get really cool people that I admire on here and be my captive conversational audience, quote unquote, for an hour or two. And I appreciate your willingness to sit down with me. I know I told folks in chat that my first interaction with you in person was at Adepticon, as we had started to touch on. I was setting up for a game against a very small model count, large size model Tyranid army. I leave for 5 minutes, I come back, and there's two guys standing there saying, like, "You want to make it an 8,000 point game?" And I'm like, uh-huh. And then 5 hours of my life disappeared and I got stomped. But I killed a Harridan, so I'm happy about that.
That's pretty good. I remember seeing them setting up the big bugs.
A lot of people stopped, like, walking by the tables, just like, what's that? Like, no one knows about these things, because that's like the Forge World section that when you start sorting by price low to high, you never see that. It's all at the bottom. I missed out on Korean barbecue. Crypt Shadow is correct. I chose gaming over Korean barbecue that day. It haunts me.
I mean, you got it. It was Adepticon.
And as far as I know, Jay, that was the single largest unofficial Warhammer game of all of Adepticon. And until I have somebody giving me empirical evidence to the contrary, that 8,000 point game was the biggest.
It might have been.
So I'll take that win, even if it costs me Korean barbecue. So, Jay, like, I want to ask you a question to kind of put you on your heels a little bit, prepare you for just the nonsense sort of conversations that we're going to have here. I don't have really an agenda, and there was one question that I was posed once, just in an offhand conversation, that I feel is perfect for you. If you had to, not had the opportunity, you had to completely remove 3 factions from Warhammer 40k, which would they be and why?
Space Marines, Grey Knight, Death Watch. Let's get them out of there. Let's get rid of Space Marines. Let's just wreak havoc.
Okay, you woke up.
All down.
Jay woke up this morning and chose chaos. Holy cow! That is not in a million years the response I would have anticipated. Zero hesitation.
Hashtag cancel Jay.
Just done. He's done. He's out. Came on this podcast and in less than 10 minutes, just coming in under the 10-minute mark, just nuked his entire social media presence. Oh, so you think that just like to really shake up the meta and just like start like a new chapter for 40k, it's just like take the Imperium and just walk them out the door?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously it would never happen, but it would immediately like, oh, I guess we do have to make models for Dark Eldar and Tyranids, and maybe we should make some more Tau stuff.
Yeah,
I would love. I mean, I wouldn't love to see it, obviously, but I think it'd be really funny.
Yeah, the new Tyranid model, that Parasite of
Mortrex.
Yes, Mortrex. So that model I like, but also I can't quite get over the fact that its front 4 teeth make it look like this. Hi.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks. I don't mind how it looks. I think it looks neat. I definitely think it's one of those things that can be easily saved in painting. But I love that it's really gimmicky. I wish they went way harder with the gimmick, because it has like a special attack where it can make a Ripper Swarm base appear, and that's awesome. And it's like super specific in the rules. Like if it loses its last wound, then you replace it with. I think you just let it spawn like 1 Ripper per turn forever, because it's not gonna make or break the game. It's just fun.
No, like
I love gimmicks,
especially because Ripper Swarms went from a troop with OBSEC to become a fast attack unit, so it's not quite as Like, oh, you just have the parasite just sit on an objective for a turn, and then it just gets one thing on an objective, and then it can fly off, and then you don't have to worry about it. Oh, what's this? What's this?
Yeah,
Oh, I need
absolutely.
to allow
Also, hey, happy
this.
heretic.
This call him a shill. He loves it. You shill.
I am a shell.
Which, by the way, I
I'm a
wore.
huge shill.
I
J is short for J. Bartholomew Schillen.
oh, just straight shilling. What do you do with your homies on the
Mhm.
weekends? We like to hang out, you know, shill, play some video games.
JB Schillen.
So I busted my shill load yesterday. I got the t-shirt. I immediately put it on and wore it for stream. I should have saved it for today, but I got Eons of Battle's awesome paint pot shirt. I saw my buddy, a fellow content creator named The Sauce, was wearing one when we were having a chat, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to get that shirt.
Say no to pots.
Say
Which
no.
is actually kind of funny. I don't have a problem with pots. They're not as good as droppers. Droppers aren't as good as tubes. And I actually do prefer washes and contrast in pots.
I would.
But I just wanted to flame the fires of this meme, and so say no
Oh,
to pots.
absolutely. Like you see the money making potential in the memes, the hate that the pots get. You're like, I don't mind them, but there's dollars to be made. Let's go. I agree though. I would agree with you that contrast paint and washes work well in the paint pots, but the contrast paints need an agitator because if you let those things sit too long, they start to separate a little bit. I know that because right over there are the GW paints that I don't really use anymore, and they're definitely separating out, going all what is it, white scars, white on me.
Oh, I love White Scars White.
Which one is it? Oh no, excuse me.
GW contrast, but
it's Corax White. The Corax White has a nice, lovely separated line of black paint, like I'm assuming that's intended to like color it slightly off-white gray, but there's this lovely line of separated out black paint in it, which is just hilarious. And I saw that out of the corner of my eye, you taking a drink. I'm like, did he just chug down a paint pot? Was that? Or is that the next step? You start selling a coffee mug that's like an enlarged paint pot with a little...
That would be pretty funny. I've wanted to do a really cool custom mug that has slots for your paintbrushes. It has slots to lay brushes horizontally while they dry out, and then it's got, you know, a nice amount of room for your water. But stuff like that gets expensive once you start pricing out all the components and what it takes to manufacture them. And it's like, man, I could buy a pallet of mugs for $0.05 a piece if I just went with classic mugs.
And I mean, like people use them. I mean, I don't use coffee mugs. I use old salsa jars. Like, I mean, look at this disgusting, like just fetid swamp of a jar. But yeah, like I like Altier's idea. You just make it a beer stein with the little like pop top, and you just make it a paint pot. Of course, I'm sure GW would send you an email, but let's see what other things did I jot down over the course of this. So the amount of models that you painted last year, eerily similar.
Like 400 some.
You said you painted 439 models. I painted a scarily close amount of models to that last year as well. 443.
Very nice.
It was the goal for this year is 500.
I think this year I'm gonna go a lot. I'm gonna do less. I think I'm not gonna paint as many armies. Also, I've got a lot of different projects going on this year. But yeah, I just ended up with 400. There was no goal. I didn't try to go hard. It just what it ended up, putting out 3 YouTube videos a week.
Well, who could imagine 3 YouTubes a week, streaming every day? Which, by the way, guys, like when this is done, Jay is going to go right into his stream. Well, obviously, we're not going to go like a full 3 hours.
But 3 steps, and then I'm going to be streaming on YouTube.
That's a worker. That's somebody who grinds for you. Like, I'm going to give you all the J that you know you deserve. Including Sundays.
Not including Sundays. That's actually, though, that is the very first time we've been called on it. I always say we stream every day, even though we never have. We always take Sundays off. It's the Lord's Day. But it's just, it's impossible to work it into like a quick pitch, like, oh, we stream for 6 days a week, these weekdays, and we just stay every day. And if somebody accidentally shows up on Sunday, they're gonna be disappointed.
Well, it'll start like a pseudo like, well, Jay's not here, let's start our own little like just sans Jay painting session together. It becomes its own like its own self-powered creation. Like the Jay painting influence just kind of carries people through Sunday to be picked back up on Monday. There is no Lord's Day, Jay. You got rid of the Emperor. We talked yesterday about the Emperor, just like what would happen to the 40k lore if the Emperor actually did just go poof in a puff of like dust and gas and just cease to exist, and what that would do to the game. I, for one, would like to see that.
I would like to see it too. Although I think if the Emperor disappeared, the world of Warhammer and the Imperium would actually change for the better. I think if in 10,000 years everything's just going downhill, I think if the Emperor vanished and humanity just had to figure it out, I think that they would figure it out. And they'd be like, oh, we don't have to, send, starship loads of psychers to die and have entire planets devoted to building doves that we can release on this one planet to let them all die because there's nothing to eat. And just let every dumb ritual and thing that the Imperium does fade away.
See, that is an interesting perspective. Like, once the Emperor is not a literal physical presence, or I mean, such as he is now, how much would that change because I don't think it would make the ecclesiarchy and their influence go away, at least obviously not in any immediate like amount of time. But yeah, I think their religion would over time become a lot more lip servicey, a lot less like literal, like he's right there. Like, you need to bring him, like you said, the 1,000 psychers a day and just like chuck them into the coal furnace under the golden throne, just like, get in there. We need you. He's hungry.
I like to think that actually doesn't do anything. Because originally the golden throne didn't need 10,000 sacrifices a day. I like to think that that's purely, they just think that it makes it work, so that's what they do.
And maybe like orcs, because we believe it hard enough, it actually started to matter. I think that aspect of the orcs, which I've heard that was retconned away. I think that's the single most interesting thing about orcs, is if they believe it hard enough, it becomes real. And I think that's what tied them to humanity so much.
It wasn't retconned away, but what happened was on 1D4chan, it became such a prevalent meme to the point where people thought that the Emperor survived because the orcs believe the Emperor survived, where it kind of got brought back to, no, the orcs they got like a little bit of a psychic aura, and like if they think their sword's extra sharp, it'll be extra sharp, but it won't be a lightsaber.
Okay. So their belief, like there is a mild amount of boundary to their belief.
Yeah, and really, the big orc power jump comes from the size of orc wogs. Like during the Great Crusades and stuff, there were galaxy-spanning orc wogs, and so the orcs had unbelievable technology. But when orcs are contained to a few planets or a few little kingdoms, they are at the power level we see them at 40k.
Okay. So, like, what Gazgul's doing, like, might lead to some more significant fuckery.
Yeah. Yeah, they'd be able to build better, more sophisticated starships, weapons. I forget if this was in a Trazy novel, but the original orcs, what were they called? The Krork? The original Krorks had, like, Iron Man, what suit did Iron Man wear in the last movie? Like the nanotech, like they had like nanotechnology when they were fighting the Necrotire and the Eldar in the War in Heaven. They were unbelievably sophisticated and powerful. And now they're the lovable orcs.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to imagine a bigger, more obviously not more intelligent, just actually intelligent orc with like Iron Man tech. And then you look at that, and then you look down at the Eldar, and you're just like, oh, you guys are the little brother in this relationship. And then you flip flop it. That's it's quite the change.
there's a wonderful video by a great YouTuber I love called Baldermort.
Oh,
Baldermort's
I
Guide to
love
Warhammer
Baldermort.
40K. And his episode on the orc, I think it's like 40 minutes. He really went all out. And that video gave me goosebumps when he talks about how like the orcs, they haven't been biding their time. They have just been enjoying themselves. And maybe one day they'll finally get it together and decide to start taking stuff over.
That man's voice. Like, everyone's like, oh, I'd love if Morgan Freeman narrated my life. I'm like, no. I mean, I don't live a life epic enough for Baltimore to narrate it, but I wish I lived a life that he would narrate. Because damn, what a gravitas, what a delivery he gives to everything he does.
Oh yeah.
So I know you did a video recently about the bendy X-Acto knife blade. And your thoughts on it, and that got me looking around my hobby desk, like, what is a tool, like a non-paint tool, that I'm like, this, always this, every chance I get, I use it. There's so many different uses that I can get out of it. For me, is toothbrush. I use toothbrush for so much. But I was curious, what do you think your ubiquitous tool is? And I hope this becomes the thumbnail of the YouTube video. Just me holding a toothbrush and you looking at me like...
Yeah, I use toothbrushes all the time.
Agitator? Oh, I wish I could afford one of those.
I just put rocks and then let everybody yell at me. Oh, it's gonna mess up the paint. It's like, no, it's not. It's a rock.
Yeah, like a piece of gravel, or like...
Yeah, I bought a I think I got it like at a yard sale. Somebody had like a big jar of like river stones, like decorative river stones.
Okay. Huh.
So I just chuck a couple of those in there.
Okay, I'm into that. Vortex mixer is the best. Oh, I've heard. I like when you put googly eyes on them, and the googly eyes just go all over the place. But that's just been something I already like. I know this is a really dumb thing to complain about, but my like plug access down here, it is a nightmare below these tables. But it's a premium. I don't have very many outlets available to me. I don't know if I can justify giving one. No, I use the proper... I'm not daisy chaining like extension cables or any of that. I'm following proper protocol. I'm using everything with fuses in them and so on and so forth. If there was a surge, I'd be fine. Only after my wife found out what I was doing initially, which was everything that I said I was doing the opposite of, and she's like, you're not going to burn down this house, so go buy stuff.
I'm not a big fan of the Vortex mixer. I don't own one, so I don't know if they're magical, but I've never really found a paint pot that I couldn't fix with just a little vigorous shaking. And I use paint up. So I don't have paint sitting around for years and years and years, so that probably helps a ton. But I would much rather spend 50, 60, 70 bucks on models. I almost always cheap out on gear and then go hard on toys.
Yeah, because in my experience, especially, like, even when it comes down to paintbrushes, I buy my paintbrushes in bulk off Amazon. Bags and bags of brushes. And they're terrible, like these blue handled, like, I mean, I think they come pre-bent tip.
Yeah, I'm sure I have the same ones.
And I just abuse the hell out of them. And once I've had enough of them, I just... Actually, great example. Let me actually use one that I decided that I was sick and tired of. I go, okay, facing material. And I just toss the ferrule away, and I have a stick that I can use either for, mixing up a stubborn paint pot if I happen to be using one, or cut it up and use it for logs, or I've used them actually for conduit in some of my bases for like the Sisters Army actually used.
Yeah, I can see that.
Also, the three-legged pizza stands, the legs for those are actually perfect scale for piping in for like an underhive base. I watched Midwinter Mini's video about using crap around your house to make like an underhive base, and I just started immediately looking around like what garbage was I about to throw away that I can use. And since then, like, that really was an eye-opening video for me. Very early in my painting career, because we're coming up on 2 years, Jay. 2 years since I started in the hobby.
Nice.
I used that video to make the base for your Escher. Yes, Merlin Models is correct. He very, very generously. He had a super old Escher model, really, really old. That
I just lost out on in a bidding war on eBay for a bunch of Escher models, a bunch of the old metal ones.
yeah, that's what he sent me. It was like with a power pick, like raised up in the air, and he painted it up beautifully. Did a basing scheme to match the basing on my my sister's army, and he sent it all the way across the pond to me, like the sweet soul that he is. So will Jay be joining the conquest train? Altier, I'd really appreciate it if you couldn't see my questions, but. But what do you think about Conquest? What because one of the games
Conquest.
is non-GW games.
I think the models are really, really neat. I have a few. I've painted up one of them, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'll definitely be doing some more Conquest stuff. I would love to do a lot of things with a lot of games. A lot of it comes down to time, and so I play Games Workshop games, so I tend to paint Games Workshop games stuff in my YouTube videos and on live stream. But yeah, I mean, I'm super impressed with Mantic's Dead Zone. Super phenomenally fun game. Quick little skirmish thing. My favorite tabletop game of all time is X-Wing. And I would love to get more into X-Wing, although it's not much of a YouTube builder. Like, they come pre-painted, and battle reports aren't that interesting because you can just play the game yourself in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, I love the dial system in X-Wing.
Yeah, it's really tight.
I almost like I said that, I'm like, that's the right game, right? I didn't just really embarrass myself.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's like, oh, I love playing Uno with the dice, and you're just like, what? It's X-Wing. I played like 1 or 2 games of it, but the games I played, there were 7 people playing at the same time.
You can't.
It was utter chaos.
It turns the activation into a madhouse. It's like, I have pilot skill 6. 3 of us have a pilot skill 6. Who has initiative?
I think there may or may not have been drinking at the time. So I think one of the ways we determined, at least for one round of activations, was we determined it based on whose plane had been in the most episodes and or movies of Star Wars. And of course, someone was playing, oh, damn it, Ghost, the ship from Star Wars Rebels. And of course that one, because it had an entire series where it appeared in almost every episode, and he looked them up, and I love that. I love my buddy, but boy, he was pedantic in that moment. It's like, oh no, I have exactly 50. I have 57 episodes. I would say
it has appeared in exactly 2 pieces of media in Star Wars Rebels and Rogue One.
Wasn't it also in for like the briefest moment in the Rise of Skywalker? A lot of ships showed up.
Too many ships for me to want to freeze frame.
there I think at that particular point in that movie, I think I had already kind of like lost the will to live is too harsh, but I was just kind of like
I liked 9. I agree. It suffers though from trying to carry an entire trilogy on its shoulders. It's the same exact flaw that Revenge of the Sith has, where the first 2 movies didn't matter, and now we got to do the whole trilogy in one movie. And that becomes a giant mess.
That is actually a really good way to summarize. Yeah. Well, and the fact that episodes 7, 8, 9 had 3 different directors that each time said, yeah, everything that happened before, screw those guys, I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah.
So you get to the end and you're like, oh, there were some interesting things here, some things that might develop. Nope, we're just saying nope to that. Oh, the big bad, this Snoke. Oh, you kill him. Oh, shit. All right. What am I gonna do with this now? So yeah, there were definitely some things. Weirdly, I may or may not have already planned out with somebody exactly how I would have taken a particular point in episode 8 and completely rewritten everything from that point on and ended up with a better result. But then again, I'm here on Twitch, not working in Hollywood writing scripts. So take from that what you will. And
yeah, I like every single Star Wars movie, and I also think it's fun to appreciate their flaws.
Yes. See, ultimately as fans, just like how like Warhammer, for example, I for the most part of all the books, the Warhammer content that we all know about, like the infamous Ultramarines movie and Like,
it's so bad.
it's terrible, but it's also Warhammer content. So we consume it. We can sit there and nitpick and say like, oh, like that makes no sense. This is terrible. That's not accurate. But it's still Warhammer content. We're going to consume it. Very rarely has there been something Warhammer related that made me just put it down and say, I can't deal with this. And one of them was the Warhammer novel called I Am Slaughter, which I believe is the start of the War of the Beast book series.
Haven't read it.
It follows an Imperial Fist whose name is Slaughter. And I'm just like, I'm out. This is just not my thing.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't because I didn't like the content. It was the writing itself that made me just nope the heck out of there. With regard to newer or just different games from GW, I recently was having a conversation with another content creator, Thunderhead Studio, and he and I had started the process of we want to design our own 28mm 30mm scale game, and we want it to be based off of Gundam. Because I believe there is a Gundam game out there, but we really like the mobile workers from Iron-Blooded Orphans, and we want to incorporate those into the game. So, would you play a game like that if it got designed?
I mean,
and I mean
probably
skirmish,
not. I'm
skirmish
not a
size,
big
not
fan of mecha anime. Also, probably not just because I don't get a chance to play a lot of games. I get a tiny bit of Kill Team in here and there. I play a little Star Wars Legion, and that's about it.
That's the other one that I need to try.
Yeah, I like building Gundams, but the only Gundams I've built is the Star Wars Bandai Gundams. I don't have any connection to mecha anime. I like anime, but not I've just never gotten into mecha anime.
It's been a recent thing for me, actually, mostly because he's worn me down with it. He made me watch, because apparently it's some sort of a unicorn moment. I had never seen anything from Attack on Titan, ever. And then late last year, he's like, you need to watch it. I'm like, I don't want to. And then around February, he was like, okay, you're going to watch it now, and we're going to talk about it. So he did, and then he drops the bomb on me that, in his opinion, Attack on Titan is the latest evolution of mecha anime.
B.
And I'm still unpacking that one. I'm still like, you're smarter than me, I know, but this is taking some chewing. Now, I was I will admit, as a primer before this chat with you, I wanted to make sure that I was up to date on your latest content, and I may have gone back a bit far. I was looking.
8 years.
There is a lot. One of the things that really caught my eye and still does, because you were actually working on it during your live stream yesterday, your Death Guard.
Yeah.
That color scheme has to be one of the most unique takes on Death Guard I've ever seen. And so props to you for that to begin with, but
thank you.
I get asked I get asked a lot.
What do you get asked?
Oh no, I get asked a lot about like, oh, I want to do this color scheme, or I want to try something different. It's always people asking, I want to try something different. What sort of things pop into your head when it comes to coming up with a color scheme? I know you said like that particular night the inhibitions were just a little bit lower because you had a drink or whatever, and you're just like, let's throw some paint on it and see what happens. Mm-hmm. Sometimes lightning strikes like that, but if someone wanted to take a more measured approach, given your experience as a painter, what sort of tips would you give to somebody who wants to kind of step outside their comfort zone, paint something that's non-traditional?
I don't know. I think I would probably try to not approach something as I want to do something non-traditional. I think I would just try to do something or find something that kind of interests you. Like, I know I want to do Grey Knights, but purple. Because I feel like as soon as you set out to like, I want to do something different and experimental, you just start doing other things you've seen. Like where if you like, I don't know. I always just pick paints and colors right off the top of my head.
Okay. The don't overthink it, which like the moment you pointed that out, like, yeah, once you start analyzing it, it loses that sense of immediacy. By thinking about it, you start to question your decision, and then you start leaning towards more safer. Like, oh, maybe I do magenta and green. Oh, maybe not magenta and green, because, well, what if I did this and this instead? And then by then you've already lost your you've lost that onus. I had no. Wait, played Dr. Rhino. Whoa. Played Dr. Rhino last Sunday. His Custodes versus my Krieg, and he laid me out. I still don't feel good about that. Because he brought you actually talked about it in another one of your videos about Forge World models, the Marauder for guard, that big bomber plane. His very first time bringing that model. Very first time it's been on a table. I blew it up turn 1.
Oh yeah, new model syndrome. It always happens.
See,
and it happens twice as hard with Forge World models because
they're
like typically famously bad in game.
I told you, man. Like I'm to my buddy. Yeah, that Marauder. I told you that that's supposed to happen. I did you a favor, but yeah, playing the new Tempest of War system, I am converted. That is the way I am going to play 40K forever. I will never do a matched play game again because now I just bring an all rounders list and have fun. I don't need to sit here and be like, oh well, got to plan a list around some secondaries. And actually, speaking of playing Warhammer games, I need more caffeine in order to actually get my brain to stay on topic. I might need to make more later. But between you and Bricky from Dice Check, I think I might have to do a Night Lords kill team now. You guys make it look like way too much fun.
The Night Lords are cool. I really like I read the first book in the trilogy, Soul Hunter. I think it's called Soul Hunter, and it's pretty good.
I recently was on a Necron novel kick. The Infinite and the Divine is still my #1 best Warhammer book of all time. Like everyone's like Eisenhorn. No, Infinite and the Divine. Give me robots trolling each other.
Eisenhorn sucks. I mean, it's a perfectly fine book. The first one, the second two are kind of but no, Infinite Divine. Yeah, Infinite Divine is super super high. Probably #1. I just read the new Gene Stealer cult book, Day of Ascension, and that book is phenomenal.
I'll have to give that a shot. I'll have to give that a shot.
It's short.
Okay. Because yeah, the Infinite and the Divine was great. I also did the 2 Twice Dead King books, and I can't recommend those enough because it's weird that I feel the most human character that I've ever encountered in a 40K book is a Necron. And I feel that alone is like the most ringing endorsement that I can get to get you interested in a book. Like, wait, the literally soulless robot is the most human character you've ever encountered in a 40K book. Sign me up. So that's, goddamn, I can't handle these hot takes. Yeah, well, you know, Heat Kitchen, get out, Crypt Shadow. You can't handle these hot takes.
Question: being quiet, painting foam at the moment. Loving the interview. Is there any 140K Jay would cosplay? Who would it be? I would love to do cosplays. I actually studied costume design and theater. I can put anything together with a sewing machine. I would love to get my feet wet with an Inquisitor costume, either an Inquisitor or like a member of an Inquisitor retinue. And I would love to put together like a really, really cool costume for that. Probably wear it to Adepticon. It'd be super fun.
You know, it's funny you say that because there's someone I'm consulting with, a fellow streamer named Skellybee, who she does cosplay a lot, and trying to figure out like what would be the Dr. Rhino cosplay for me to step into the ring. And actually, that was one of the things that we were leaning towards was it was either going to be an Imperial Inquisitor of some variety, and then that or Green Arrow. And I was like, but then I need to do a lot of salmon ladders and my shoulder hurts. So I don't think I'll do that one. But yeah, I think I would do a Xenos Inquisitor. That would be the Rhino from the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2. I don't got that much PVC and foam laying around. And also my, oh God, I had his name on the tip of my tongue and it just disappeared. My impression of that actor, whoever he was, because I'm blanking on it now, is terrible. So I don't think I could pull that one off. One person is a demon host.
I would love to do cosplay YouTube videos. It's tricky. Like regular YouTube videos where I paint a thing, usually the painting takes about 8 hours. A cosplay would probably take 20 hours, 30 hours. And it'd be fun to do, but it's just hard. It's hard to condense that into like a proper time frame, like schedule it, script it. I would love to do lots of different things, and I will one day, especially when my sister returns my sewing machine. I'll definitely get on that.
So you did theater in college, or like was that what you
Yeah.
got your degree in, or was that just something you studied? Like, I mean, I was
Yeah,
a
I have a BFA, but yeah, I spent all of my time in a theater costume shop
you were okay, so you
and
have
an
a
architectural
proper
studio. But
you have a BFA, a proper BFA, and I have a BA in fine arts. So I was originally a pre-law major for 3 years. I was gonna be a lawyer, and then I decided, with apparently my advisor neglected to mention it to me, probably because he was pissed, that I only had 6 credit hours to finish my major, and then I could have done whatever I wanted, but I switched to being an art major. So 3 more years of college later,
mm,
a minor in history, and I did sculpture and intaglio printmaking. I actually never touched a paintbrush. I actively avoided it. And yet here I am years
ah,
later, and that's all I do for fun. So it's so Skelly B, J, Dr. Rhino J, cosplay group when? I mean, oh, that's a money degree. Oh yeah, yeah. As Jay knows. Well, actually, no. Jay, with the theater background, that's actually applicable in a specific like area where like people need that. What I did, oh yeah, like everyone, the first couple jobs I got out of college were like pseudo graphic design based, and I never took a graphics design class. They just saw BA in art and assumed I knew how to do graphic
mm.
design. I just Googled stuff on the job site.
Yeah. I mean, you always say yes if they're like, "Hey, do you want to design for this?" Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
And you
What's
figure it out
your
later.
the trick is, if anybody ever asks you like what's a design, what's a graphic design influence of yours, what do you look for inspiration? I'm like, just say I look for
Pinterest.
something. I look for something with uh with functional minimalist design. I look at stuff like the FedEx logo and then just say that, and then they're like, oh, genius, look at this brilliant guy, knows what he's talking about, and they just skate right on by. I did that 3 times in 3 different interviews, worked every time. So
Crit Shadow, I got a question for Jay. I think you talked about how you were a prop maker, but why leave a cool job like that to be a YouTuber? I didn't leave a cool job like that. I right out of high school, well, right out of high school, I had a warehouse job. But after left the warehouse job, I got a job in a college theater making props and costumes and anything else they told me to make. And then that got me interested in theater, and so I went on to get my BFA. And then right after my BFA, I got a job. I was scenic designing for a local high school's production of Clue, and it was gonna be awesome. It was gonna be so cool. And then the entire world shut down, and so I had to be home all day. And so I restarted my YouTube channel, and it kind of took off.
yeah, you was it last year you said was your first year as a full-time content creator YouTuber?
Yeah,
How's that been? Like
it's been
like
great. It's
like I only imagine, I dream of that sort of achievement. Now, granted, like if anybody grinds like you, I would hope they would achieve even a modicum of your success. But like, what's that like?
there's it's a lot of go go go. There's not a lot of time to stop and think about how much of a disaster it is. But yeah, we put out 3 videos a week, and so we have a loose schedule where I come up with the scripts and ideas, and then Nick helps me film introductions, and then I go off and I paint for many hours, and then I come back to him with the footage, and we go through it and we assemble it into a video. And then we argue for a couple, a few hours on what the thumbnail and title should be, and then it goes live.
That right there, like what you the argument portion on thumbnail and title, it's amazing how much that title influences views. I can only assume. Like,
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, obviously, yeah, every video should be great, but yeah, you need the thumbnail and the title to get people in the door, and there's tons and tons of stuff to it. You have to guess what people will want, but you can't give it away. You never ask questions, but you always have to entice people. It's a really fun, interesting, and aggravating kind of descent into the madness of psychology.
yeah, like you're the one that always sticks out to me of your titles and thumbnails was the "don't magnetize your models" video, and I'm like, explain
Yep.
yourself, sir. Like you've offended my sensibilities. I must go watch your video, therefore I may yell at you. Oh no, wait, he's making some good points, and that, I mean, you got my view regardless.
Hmm.
Jay, regardless of title and thumbnail, I'll watch any new upload. Aw, that's so sweet. You uploaded 3 videos a week and stream every night. How could you possibly say more?
Well, I do, and here goes.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, like, chat, if you weren't aware, because I haven't shut up about it because I'm so excited. You happened to end up in my chat last week, and when I was showing off models, and you liked my Sisters of Battle, and I wish I could bring my wife down here so she can tell you how frantically I was running around the house trying to get anything I could to take a half decent photo. When you're like, "Do you have any pictures of those models?" I'm like, "Shit, I can get you some, because if you look at what's on my Instagram, those photos are terrible. They're terrible because I don't know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing when it comes to taking photos. Like up here, what I use as my top-down camera is a Canon EOS Rebel T3i that I was given as a hand-me-down. And this is like a 7-year-old camera. Is it a bad camera? No. But do I know how to use it? Absolutely not. So that was a solid, like, I don't know how long it took me to get you the photos that you're like, oh, this is probably what the best I can get out of them. So good job. But that amount of time, it was frantic, absolutely frantic. But hopefully you guys will be seeing those photos soon and judging me for them. But don't judge Jay.
Yeah.
He did his best to give me guidance, and I just did something. So, given the fact that you make 3 videos a week, every week, in addition to live streaming, and yet still have more to say, everything you've talked about in these videos, do you think that there is something about wargaming or painting, just something that kind of falls into the big bubble of this hobby community that we're all in, that people aren't talking about enough?
No, I don't know. It's hard to. I'm not a big like Reddit or message board person. I don't know what people are talking about. I just know like I see what does well in terms of like different companies' products and stuff. I think people are appreciating war games. Um, 40K is usually the big one because it's got books and video games and the tabletop games, and I know a lot of people are painters before anything else, and then some people are gamers before anything else. But no, I think the what draws people into tabletop war games is you can kind of have it your way more so than with anything else. I mean, even down to the rules, if you don't like how the rules are, you can just find different ones or change any rule you want. I mean, I have historically just played war games with my friends in my basement, and every time we come up with a rules disagreement or just something we're like, this is clunky, just change it. Who cares? And so I think it's hard to do whatever you want with soccer. But with tabletop wargaming, you'd be like, screw it. I'm gonna not paint for the next 3 months, and I'm just gonna play Space Marine from 8 years ago or 11 years ago or whenever it came out.
God, Space Marine, that game, I love it, because to a certain extent it is just perfect. But in others, oh, it's maybe I'm just salty. I think I'm just salty.
I think you're just salty. I think that's a fine game.
Because when I was playing it, I hadn't played it in a really long time, and then some members of my chat were very generous when I jokingly said, "Oh, this much support, and I'll stop painting and play video games." And the person who did it said, "Why don't you play Space Marine?" I'm like, "Shit. Why don't you play it on the hardest difficulty?" Ah, shit. So a game I haven't played in 11 years on the
Oh,
hardest difficulty, just getting curb stomped live on the internet. Ooh, that was maybe, yeah, that's why. That's definitely why.
yeah, I
Fine
could see the
game.
hardest difficulty being a little much.
It embarrassed me. You embarrassed me, Space Marine. And yeah, I'm excited for Space Marine too, just like everyone else. I'm excited to see our boy, now a Primaris Marine, hacking up Tyranids. That'll be fun. It was released the budgies first, and then someone else donated. Right. That was Gear Guts Mech Shop. God, have you seen his orc models? The dude pumps out
Um,
he pumps out models so fast. It's insane. And plus, he's been on Mini Wargaming Dave's content before. He has like 150,000 points of orcs, which is enough. I think that's a fair number. It's enough. It's enough models. You've achieved. You've gotten what you need. You've gotten a bunch from Gear Guts. Good stuff. Excellent. Glad to see it's not just me. So, folks, again, we're still taking questions if you have them for Jay. But Jay, if someone were to get into 40K right now, is there a particular faction? Like, I mean, everyone points at Space Marines because they're the most, prolific. They're the most around. But say they just didn't want to play Space Marines. Just like they looked at Space Marines and went, nah. Where would you point them next as your next start option?
I probably get this question every single day. What faction should I play in 40K? And I kind of don't like the question because I think the only answer is whichever army gets you going, whichever army you think is cool. Like, what am I going to say? Oh, you should do Necrons, and then they rock up to the game store and they're like, oh, these are Necrons? You got to pick it for yourself. You got to go and you got to look at all of the pretty boxes and you got to make that decision of like, you know what? These guys are the coolest thing in the store. This is what I'm buying.
See, I completely agree that the you got to pick, because ultimately you're going to be spending dozens of hours painting these models and then you're going to own them. You're going to keep playing with them. You have to like the aesthetic more than anything, because metas and whatnot, your army will be top of the heap eventually. Just wait, it'll happen. So paint what you like. But at the same time, I take the approach from, like, when my wife asks me, like, oh, I can't decide between these two things, or where should we go to dinner, this place or these three places, I can't decide. I pick one with a certainty. Like, oh, Doc, what models should we paint it? We're gonna paint this, and you're like, I'd rather paint this. I'm like, oh, looks like you made your decision, huh? I'm a genius. So if you collapse that wave function, if you're like, if they're looking at all 20 something factions and they're decision paralysis, and they come to you and you say Necrons, and then they go to start like, I don't like Necrons, I like Death Guard. Oh, I'll go with Death Guard. Off they go. Question: what paint job was your favorite you have done? What painting style are you most excited by at the moment?
My favorite paint job I've done is probably my Death Guard, and it was really inspired a lot by painters like Dana Howell and Collective SG, where they kind of don't even attempt smoothness, but their color selection and their placement of each brushstroke is immaculate and amazing, and it just looks like such a fun way to paint. Where you're like, yeah, just orange, and then it looked beautiful because that is exactly where orange should have gone. I would love to be able to kind of get in their heads, and I've been practicing as much as I can. It just looks like such a fun way to paint, as opposed to heavy metal style or like a not just make a airbrush and highlight. It just is so interesting to me.
That makes me think about the Marco Frassoni kind of approach. I watched a video of his where he did, it was something about how to blend without blending. And it was just, it was using like big,
everything Marco's ever done.
That was the final straw that made me buy oil paints. I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm using Conquest to learn how to do oils and non-metallic metal at the same time, which I have come to realize, in my humble opinion, my very, very inexperienced opinion, that if you want to learn how to do non-metallic metal, get oil paints to start. Because
did you decide to do to learn these things at the same time?
Yes.
At the same time.
Yes, at the same time. And I've done this many guys with non-metallic metal so far, and I'm pretty happy with how they're turning out. They still need to have their skin, their weapons, and their bases done, but I'm just doing all the armor first. But I'm very happy with how it's going.
That pop of color.
Oh, with the blue? Yeah, once the blue gets on there, and there's not much of it exposed, but they have a greenish tinted kind of necrotized skin, and they're on dark riverstone cobblestone roads. So I'm very happy with these so far. The character is another one that I'm very happy with. This was the first full model that I did with oil paints. And my favorite joke is right here on the, oh, you're definitely not gonna be able to see that, but it got these little road signs, pointing like this direction, this many miles. So we wrote down your door, YORDOR, after the Proclaimers song, and I would walk 500 miles to fall down at your door. So
Ah.
that'll, if someone figures that out, if I'm playing a game of Conquest, I'll give them $1. Like, congrats guys, you did it. And but I still think that oil paints make a great tool for learning non-metallic metal, because in my opinion, the two things that hold me back with doing it with acrylics is the work time and what it takes to blend the colors together, which is, I guess, kind of tied into like the workability of the paint. Oil paints naturally blend really, really well, and you have a shit ton of work time with them. Which, if you're
Yeah,
if you're
I like
new,
oils.
if you're new and you don't know what you're doing, and you're like, do I? Well, if it's acrylics, your paint's already dry, so you know, crap, like scrub it off, try again. But oils, like, you have hours and hours to like be like, oh, maybe it's not quite right. Oh, okay, I'll keep fudging with it. Okay, now it's perfect. Great, I did it. And oh, we got a shit ton of questions. Let's see here.
Danzigadoo masks. Speaking of Primaris, Jay, how do you feel about your precious Black Templar creating some heresy by slaughtering their Primaris recruits? I love it. I really like the Primaris Marines. I like them a lot. My goal is to read all Primaris lore. I'm working through the Gathering Storms right now. I'm working through all of the new novels. I think Primaris are great because it gives the Space Marines some interesting internal conflict, where traditionally, I mean, there's been interesting Space Marine stories before, but I feel like a lot recently, especially a lot of Space Marines were just, oh, we have this real hard fight coming up. Are we going to be able to dig deep and get through this fight? And it's not that interesting. But after Primaris, there's some really cool stuff. There's the Black Templar slaughtering Primaris recruits. There's the Flesh Terrors hating on the new Primaris. In the book, Call the Great Work, there's a Space Marine chapter who's like got some real skeletons in the closet, and they're trying to use this influx of Primaris to kind of rebrand their chapter and hide some of that old, some of that old heresy. I really like Primaris. I think it's neat.
Oh, they included Dark Angels? I, as far as like the new Primaris chapters, I'm really liking, I think they're called the Red Scorpions, that are like not so secretly calls like testing ground for like new tech, and they kind of only report to him, but they're like on the DL about it, or at least that's what the lore implies. Oh good lord, what's the I just watched his video on it, Baltimore's video on the Dark Kraken. I love the idea of like a deep sea themed army. Like, I feel you could do a lot of like customization and kit bashing if you wanted to make your models look like that. Like, get some bathysphere looking helmets, cover them in like metal, like Cthulhu-esque like tentacles on their armor and stuff. That'd be really, really fun. Question: I was watching two content creators talk about how YouTube content creators burn out from trying to create videos to satisfy the analytic masses. And when they make something experimental, something they enjoy, and it gets low views, it sort of crushes them. Are you starting to feel that burnout? If not, how are you avoiding it? That's a very deep question.
I totally feel that a lot, but I feel like I'm fairly immune because I mean I paint miniatures, but I feel like I really love making videos, and so it almost hurts me worse if the video does bad, because I can tell like, oh, didn't do a great job of organization, or I didn't have a good enough hook, more so than, oh, people didn't like my Night Lords. I really love making videos, and for me, it's kind of a fun game to try to make content that's going to get a lot of views and that people are really going to like, and to try new ideas with just making the videos more interesting and more engaging, trying new things with the thumbnails. And so I think that's a big thing for me, and that's what I suggest. I get asked a lot, like, "Hey, I'm thinking about maybe starting a YouTube channel. What do you suggest?" And I always suggest you have to love editing and love filming stuff more than like painting. Like, some people even ask like, "Am I good enough? Here's my model. Am I good enough to make YouTube videos?" And it does not matter if you're good. It does not matter if you can paint well. The only thing that matters is if you can make a fun video.
Which,
and it's really hard.
yeah, and that actually, you giving that explanation is exactly the thought process that led me to realize that YouTube for me will never be more than a repository for completely unedited podcast videos. because I have zero interest, knowledge, or I believe any sort of creative capacity for editing, nor do I definitely want to do it. Like, you can see it here. This lighting that you are seeing me in right now is the result of near 2 years of slowly getting better equipment and trying to figure out my lighting, and it's still not very good. What do you think I'm going to do for a YouTube video? I clearly don't know what I'm doing. I felt like I achieved something because I put some blue lights in the background. It's that you hit the nail on the head with the fact that you have to, your love of painting or whatever you're making videos of has to actually come in below the act of making the video that your skill, your hobby is going to be a part of. Both arms were a weird match for me. What? By the way, nice move with the arms on the Night Lords. Those arms were a weird match for me. Oh, right.
He might be talking about my kit bashed Wolfen arms with jeans old.
I thought it was brilliant.
2002 Gene Stealer cult. Yeah, I think that was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I realized I do not have any bits for a chaotic, demon host arm.
I think that the combination that you did works perfectly for it. The mix of like two like materials, I guess, for lack of a better word, the Wolfen arms having little bits of fur or like plasticized like little tufts of hair coming off the sides, and then like the more chitinous claws of the Gene Stealer lends itself to that like warped, like these two things shouldn't go together sort of aspect. So that I thought it was great decision. And those puppets warheads, like every time I look at them, I'm like, damn it, and I love them so much. And I had already started on a small chaos force of the stuff that came in that Eldritch Omens box, the Mauler Fiend and then the Chosen. And I had done a green scheme on them, which like I worked very hard to make sure it didn't look Death Guard at all. But now I'm like, do I repaint them? Do I go Night Lords? Do I do it? Because the chaos list that I made is actually closer to a World Eaters list, but I don't want to color them as World Eaters. Like, do I just do a custom scheme? Actually, Jay, help me decide. Help me decide here and now in front of all these people, because I love all three options equally. In a situation where you love multiple factions.
Chaos Warbands. So you could always just paint it as, 3 warbands working together.
You're a genius. See, this is why Jay is where Jay is and where I am. Exclamation point Aeon in chat. EON. Get this man's links if you don't already follow him. Please do. I don't even know why I would have to make this sort of information, because we're in the hobby community, and as far as I'm concerned, and sure, consider this brown nosing or blowing smoke, I believe it to be true. Your content is a staple of this community, both for it, like the actual like the meat of it, and also like the positivity, like the I see it as a positive, youthful, fun energy that you bring to the hobby. So that's why I love your stuff, and why a pleasure to hear this info. Yes. But I'm glad to have you making content for folks like me, because your videos were some of the first I watched, along with Vince Venturella and Goobertown Hobbies, were some of the first videos I watched getting into the hobby back in 2020. No, your stuff was near the beginning of 2021, and Vince Venturella was the very first stuff I watched, and I was intimidated by him because of his process, and I was like, what the hell is going on here? Any good tips for making things feel more integrated instead of just added on when converting? That is a very good question.
I think if you go a little subtler, then it'll look a little bit more appropriate. Like if you wanna add on a gun, if you give a guardsman a gigantic plasma blaster, it's gonna look like you just glued it on. Whereas, if you find a Sister of Battle plasma gun, because it'll be better scaled to a guardsman, then it'll look more appropriate.
And
I would say go subtler than you think, and then you can always bring it back up or down with painting.
I also like, I mean, for my 2 cents when it comes to converting, I really like the use of hiding those seams where like inevitably, like whether you cut off a hand to attach something, a different hand holding a different weapon or something, unless you're really good with green stuff or milliput, you're gonna see that seam line. So I love using chain, like jeweler's chain or
Yeah.
green stuff rollered tubes or tentacles wherever applicable on your model, and just kind of like lazily wrap it around that area, and then a little up, a little down, a little left, a little right, just to hide it. Like those sisters are like half literally bifurcated, half Escher, half like battle sister model, and I did my very best to milliput them to look like they fit together, but I was noticing you could clearly see that seam. So I'm like, what if I gave them a a chain belt, and that chain was wide enough to hide that cut, and then it made it look a lot more natural. So not only thinking about like again the level, the scale of which, don't stick a tactical marines plasma blaster on a guardsman. It will definitely hilariously look out of scale. I mean, maybe on a Ogren would work well, but think about scale, and then also think about hiding where those connection points are. What is your favorite paint flavor?
Vallejo smells really nice.
Vallejo smells really nice. Do I have a bottle? I do. Nope, that's not a Vallejo paint. Nope, that's not a Vallejo paint. Where the hell's my Vallejo?
I don't know if it's every single paint, but a lot of Vallejo paints smell really sweet. And if you airbrush them, it literally feels like you lit a candle.
Why do they not advertise it like that? That's like the most
'Cause it's
ringing
probably
endorsement.
toxic.
Well, people
It's like,
talk
oh,
about.
if you can smell the smell of our paint, you've already taken off 2 or 3 years
Oh
on the
yeah.
end of your life.
If you can smell a lovely floral vanilla scent, open a window immediately. Your time left is measured in minutes. But like people always point to like, oh, like don't lick your paintbrushes because it's toxic. Like people don't know that. I'm like, it's called cadmium red. You know cadmium is a poison, right? That's what this is. It's poison in oil. It's like a vinaigrette of death. Really thick vinaigrette of death. Uh Smells like is like 80% of taste or something. I mean, sure. Of course it is. That's why when you're sick, can't taste anything. Or if you have COVID, I guess. Which I'm still avoiding it. 2 years on, I'm a champion at this point. What else? What else did I have for you here? And chat, remember, you guys all still have the opportunity to ask questions while I'm making sure I don't have anything. See, again, this is the level of professionalism. So, painting competitions. Thoughts?
Um, I
That
think
was the next one on the list. Just
I think they're
thoughts.
I think they're cool. I'm not a very competitive person, and so I would like to enter a bunch. Um, I love watching like people who are very competitive, like Miniac or Vinci V or Ninjon, and they like how emotional it gets so quickly, and uh, and I have trouble getting there. But I would love to enter. I'm gonna enter Adepticon next year. I want to enter many pieces. Um,
Are you going to do like Resin Beast, for example, with the creature
I
caster
don't know. Probably
models?
not. Maybe that'll be the year after.
Okay. So Golden
Once
Demon
once I've
then?
once I've swept Golden Demon, then I'll move on.
Oh, okay. Okay, cuz I'm planning on doing a well, the plan is 2 Golden Demon pieces, enter diorama and single model, and then I want to do a large model for creature casters Resin Beast. My single model is going to be the Sister Palace, or yeah, Palace, the
Mm.
the
Hmm.
commemorative sisters model. And then fellow streamer Matt Yee gifted me with the Imperial Space Marine 2016 model, completely unopened inbox with plastic and all that jazz. And I'm going to feature that as the center
Is that
point.
is that the big resin one
No,
from
actually,
that
hold on
Forge
one
Release
second.
sale? Okay.
Okay. It is. Oh, dropped it. It's this guy. Little plastic one with with
Oh
the
yeah.
disintegrator combi gun.
Oh fun.
And so the plan is to create a diorama with that as the centerpiece, and it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be the Isfahan drop site massacre. And the return, quote unquote, or the rise of plastic Horus Heresy models was perfectly timed for this because I'll
Mm-hmm.
have all the beakies that I need to go with this guy to be my Raven Guard. And then on the other side, fighting will be some World Eaters. So you get that black and white contrast on the base, but it's going to be moderately sized. But we'll get him running through the center and get some explosion effects and stuff. See where it goes. But ultimately, it's just an excuse to paint up a very, very nice model that was given to me by a wonderful human being. So
Neat. Yeah, I want to enter as many categories as I can, hopefully all of them, and I want to make most of my I want all my entries to be kind of funny, almost memes. I want to do a lot of weird old retro models, a lot of weird stuff that people wouldn't think would be there, and I'm going to make nameplates for them all that are jokes. I want to entertain the crowd.
did you see the one? There was one when you said make a joke that made me think of someone entered a piece in.
Yeah, the black and white.
Yeah, that one.
Well, we weren't allowed in the competition, so at least we'll enter Golden Demon.
Yep, that was I liked that one a lot. It
Yeah.
was nice to see a little bit of levity. I mean, I guess for the exact reason that you're taking that approach too. There's a lot of people who get very intense. Not to say
But
that they shouldn't.
I also want to take these jokes, but paint them so well that they're in the running.
Just to imagine that, like, and the winner of Golden Demon for Duel is like Duel of the Fates, and it's like two like power sword wielding guys, and you just perfectly recreated episode 1 or
Mhm.
something to that effect.
Yeah.
I would love to see something like that for sure. It's I've heard some thoughts. The reason why I ask you about competition painting is of late I've been having talks with some folks, and their thoughts are that the idea of judging a competition for painting is so esoteric already that you have to be very careful about the how you define what the parameters are of that judging of that competition, because you can end up in situations where people are looking at two pieces. Oh god, what was the best? They summed it up so well. Grading on a curve rather than holding every piece to the perfect 10 out of 10. The Slayer sword model. Like, oh, you look at
The
what,
skink.
yeah, where's our skink, and then you judge everything based off of that skink. Now, in this case, the skink was perfect, so that's the 10 out of 10. But
Yeah.
if the best score was an 80% out of 100, judge everything off that top model. Don't keep putting everything up to the top. And I feel that would have been an appropriate approach for all of this is predicated off of the fact that I'm like, I'll just go make my own painting
I mean,
competition.
does anybody know how they judge? I mean, to me, I got the sense that's like they knock out anything that has any flaws and then just kind of go from there.
I was under the impression that
What
it
is
was all
perfectly demonstrating.
technique. Exactly. Yeah, it's perfect demonstration of technique was the primary focus. Like if you do non-metallic metal, are there any errors in your non-metallic metal? No? Okay, cool. You're moving on. Or there was someone said the flip, it was Vince. He said the flip test. You flip the model upside down, and if you see anything wrong, like if you see any unpainted things on the underside of the model, you just put it down and move on.
Mm-hmm.
A lone Space Marine painted perfectly won't look as good as a huge centerpiece model. Yes.
But good is subjective. Somebody could think that a beautiful, amazing Forge World Dante. Somebody could think, I don't know, he looks kind of frilly. I much prefer this Black Templar dude right here.
Yeah, because there's an effect almost of when you put some actually a great example, my Space Marines from early in my painting career. When they're all on the table in a pile, ooh, they look good. But when you start picking them up individually, you're like, this is pretty simple. I feel a diorama kind of has the potential to do that. The more you put on it, the easier it is to hide stuff where you just like where you just put in like, oh, we'll just do a little bit over here, but the focus is these guys in front. I was asked to actually, I still don't know why. I think they were just out of people. I was one of the judges for the 4-player team tournament with like the display boards and stuff at Adepticon. And they're like, I was told, like, be sure to check the backs of the dioramas that, or the boards that people make, because that's where they hide the stuff they don't want you to see. They were right. There was somebody with like a dude whose like entire right half wasn't painted, and they had just turned him and put him in the back corner. And not to their, I mean, clearly everything else was painted really well, but I mean, stuff like that you got to pay attention to, at least as a judge.
There was one great model I saw at the Adepticon Golden Demon, and it was I forget what it was exactly, but it was a beautiful, beautiful piece, and laying right on like the face of the hero was a cat hair. And I was like, ah. I'm sure that didn't knock him out of the race. I just think it's funny.
It brings them down to our level. You know, like you're looking at like, you're like, oh, I'll never be able to paint like that. And then you see a cat hair and you're like, they're one of us. They're just like us. Jay, you talked about how you find bat reps not fun to watch, and that you had some ideas on what could make them more fun for you and interesting. And you were working on a bat rep. Can you talk about some of those, some of those ideas are, or is that like secret?
Yeah, I definitely can. You know, no one go off and steal these ideas and make your own YouTube channel now, but
I will find you.
I don't like battle reports. I get kind of why people would, but I don't have a very good brain for like analyzing games properly, and I can't follow what's going on unless I'm the one who's trying to keep track of all the rules. I don't like handheld very much. I just don't find battle reports very good, and I don't find them fun to watch because it's a type of YouTube video. Battle reports fit into a weird place on YouTube where I feel like it's hard for the viewer to be having as much fun as the person making the video, which is kind of where you want it to be. My perfect battle report would be, I don't care what they're playing, I just want to feel like I'm having fun with my friends. And so I have this idea for Kill Team playing for keeps, where Nick and I, or we'll probably have some other guests on, play Kill Team, but it's not that important that we're playing Kill Team. But what we do is every time one of us destroys another person's model, we get to physically destroy that model. And so we'll pause the game, and then we'll go and we'll find a weapon or a tool or a device, and in beautiful cinematic fashion, destroy the miniatures.
I love that. That actually, there was not for Warhammer, but I saw it was some sort of mech based game that, oh god, they're a Twitch channel. I haven't seen them on actually, which is very disconcerting. Hyper RPG. They were playing like some sort of mech warrior game, and anytime the mechs took a certain like damage type, whatever that representative damage was, say it was like a plasma shot, they took out a soldering iron and just pressed it into the model and just like melted a hole in it right there on the table. And like, oh, this arm broke off. They like held up the arm, held up the model, put it on the side of the table, smashed it with a hammer. So I would love to see that from a Kill Team scale, and just like see the creativity you guys would come up with destroying models. Ooh, crunchy.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'd volunteer for that.
I'm not going to bring up any channels in particular, but especially being a content creator, I see behind the scenes on a lot of people's videos, and I know sometimes you see a game and you just know they're not having any fun because they have to tell the camera what they're doing and then put down the camera and then pick up the close-up camera and then do a couple of fly over the game boards and then get a little bit of B-roll and then get back to the game and try to remember where they are and think about, how do I set up my next shot? I want to try to set up a game where we are enjoying ourselves making the video and it comes through in the end products. Because I think it's fine to capture a game of 40K, but I could also just go to my local game store and just stand there and watch them play a game.
This is true. I'm excited to get my behind the scenes view because I don't shut up about it, but in case you didn't hear Jay, I get to go film with Play on Tabletop. That Sisters Army is going to be on there, as well as my Custodes Army. and I get to film with them. So I'm actually flying to Canada in 25 days. Not that I'm counting.
Ah, cool.
So this has been something that's been in the making for almost a year. Obviously, COVID taking a big influencing factor. Originally, the topic was broached in July of last year, and then it was like, oh, like come around like September, October, and then December, and then oh god, everything's really gone to shit. Now it's like it got pushed all the way to now. But I am beyond excited, and I'm very like weirdly now that I've been a content creator of sorts for a while now, I'm really interested to see the behind the scenes of like what it actually takes to make something look like that. I know they do a ton of editing, but I don't know before then like what it's like to shoot a battle report or even what it's like to shoot a hobby video like what you guys do. So like I mean like scripting, like will I have a script? Do I have to approve my script? Will I say I'm not reading this dribble? Rewrite it or I'll be in my trailer. I think I might have to do that for my Instagram stories. Like while I'm there, like I'll make one of them like hand me a script. I'll be like, this is terrible. I'll be in my trailer until you rewrite it. Trucks, I promise. I promise if I remember, I will do it. I will make Space Marine Steve like bring it to my trailer and it'll just be like a van in the parking lot. That would be fun indeed. So, Jay.
Yeah.
What?
What's up?
What? I don't know why, but the moment I said that, my mind went blank, and all I could hear was the Monty Python. What is your favorite color? And then I'm like, no, stop it! Don't be the guy on the bridge. Having been on mini wargaming, I would bet they'll just try to make do with you being you. Oh, that's their mistake. Make videos, Jay. What makes you stay passionate? When make videos, Jay?
I enjoy the process of making a video. I like that I get to do a lot of different things. Like before, I guess I never really was into 40K without having a YouTube channel in some degree, but I really like getting to do a lot of things that I wouldn't normally. Like I probably wouldn't have so many different factions and so many different projects. Um, but I don't know. I just like it, and I like making videos. And I have Google document. I have probably 50 or 60 Google documents of ideas, and every time I finish one, I get excited that I get to work on the next one.
That's cool. Like, I barely have enough ideas for like what to title my stream before I go live, and you have 50 Google Docs worth of video ideas. And that's like the literal tip of the iceberg for everything you have to do to make the video based around that one concept. That's incredible. It continues to show that this, folks, is what you need to understand. Like, some people who don't know the game well enough would look at me, look at Jay, and say, they're basically the same, right? No. I'm the guy who, if you show me, hey, Doc, I need you to write the script for this, my enthusiasm for it just poof, drops into the dirt. And not to say that I'm not interested in like the core concept of like why we're making it. Like, oh, Doc, do you like painting minis? Hell yeah, I do. You want to make a video about it? I mean, theoretically, yes. Are you going to do the editing? I'd rather not. Maybe I could do it all in one take. Well, aren't you going to have multiple camera angles? Maybe. Do you have multiple cameras? Do you know how to light? And then I'm already like out the door walking away. So
Mm-hmm.
it really goes to show like Merlin that like we said earlier, the passion has to be first and foremost the act of making the videos. That directorial spirit. What else? What else do we have? Oh no, check the phone, you dingus. Okay. Yeah, now we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel now. What is the best painting food? What is the food for, or do you not eat while you paint?
I don't eat while I paint. I just don't really feel I can. Usually I eat while I play video games. Usually every night before I go to bed, I'll play like 30 or 40 minutes of a video game while like just shoving Doritos into my face.
Okay, let's dig deeper. Which is better, nacho cheese or Cool Ranch?
I just like classic. I think that's the only Dorito I like.
Okay, good. You're in my camp. Nacho cheese for the win. Cool Ranch is okay, but it is not the superior Dorito. Now,
I didn't know it was nacho cheese flavor. I thought it was red flavor.
yeah, okay, red bag, blue bag.
Yeah, red bag.
Um,
I didn't realize it had a flavor other than Dorito.
well, it looks like I may have started a fight, which is good. That's how you make content, is you start a innocent fight. Now, obviously, the follow-up question to this is, which video games currently have your attention?
I mostly play the stuff that I've loved forever. I play a game called Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds from 1999.
Okay.
Which is a really crappy RTS. I really like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I just bought the new Battlefront from EA. I have 200 hours in the original 2005 Battlefront game. But and the new one's fine. I feel like it doesn't have as much stuff as the old one. At least it doesn't have nearly as much stuff for offline single player.
They don't care about offline single player anymore.
Yeah.
No one cares about offline single player anymore. If you want offline single player games for Star Wars, you got to go play like it's Fallen Order. The one that's like pseudo Dark Soulsy with the redheaded guy with the little shoulder bot. That's Fallen Order, right? God, I liked it. I feel terrible that I can't remember that it's what it's actually called. But yeah, Star Wars Battlefront, the original, I put in so many hours in that game with my brothers. Nothing started fights in my household with myself and my two brothers faster than like, oh, you guys just want to play a quick game of Jedi versus Sith? Oh, that was a fun ender right there. But for me, like, someone actually said FTL in chat, which is really funny because FTL is one of my favorite games. That and Risk of Rain 2.
I streamed FTL a couple weeks ago.
Really?
I love FTL. Yeah.
That was a game that I really appreciated because it's the kind of game that, like, people like Dark Souls because it's so hard and it kept kicking your ass. Games like FTL somehow always kick my ass. I guess the idea of like trying to manage all this stuff, like the people are like, oh, I play it and I never pause anything. I just control everything in real time. And I'm like, no, I have to pause. Like if the littlest thing happens, it's pause and sit and stare for a minute, like a chess game.
Yeah, I mean, I probably had 60 hours in FTL before I even made it to the final sector.
Oh, you've made it to the final sector. Oh
yeah, I mean, I can beat the game almost every single time on easy.
Oh shit. Nope, not me. Nope. I've unlocked stuff just by, like sheer repetition, getting all the random encounters to happen in a certain order, like getting the crystal ship and the crystal guy and all that jazz. But nope, never made it to the boss. I have no idea what it looks like. I didn't.
The boss is brutally hard, if you can believe it.
in a game that's already pretty difficult, one with 4 ships on easy. Why is everybody just dunking on me right now? Can't you just why can't everyone in chat just say, oh, Doc, we get it, the game's hard, and then we'd move on? But Risk of Rain 2 is another game I really enjoy, another roguelike third-person game based off of the first Risk of Rain game, which was, in my opinion, garbage, because it was a 2D side-scroller that had no business being a 2D side-scroller. Doc, stream it, get advice, profit. No. No, absolutely not. But it's funny how much video games used to be my big pull, the thing I spent so much time doing. And then I found miniature painting in August of 2020 because, the sequence of events was lockdown really set in and we're like, oh, we're going to be here a while. And then I realized, why not take the time to learn something I never thought I would have time to do, which is learn how to play Warhammer, this what I believed to be, and I actually guess still kind of believe, like the most overly complicated game in the world, and take the time to learn it because I saw Magikarp Used Fly's video on how to play TTS for free, or how to play 40K for free on TTS, and I played like 3 games on Tabletop Simulator, and then I was like, I think I need the models. But it ended up being the thing that I needed to scratch that creativity itch that I hadn't really been able to scratch since college. And now I almost find it to be the more relaxing thing than playing video games. If I'm playing video games on the computer right here, I'm looking over at my models going, I could be painting right now. And I've never had a
Yeah,
hobby
I
that
mean,
grabbed me like that.
yeah, I mean, I hobby for, 8, 10, 14, 16 hours a day, and I play, 15 to 30 minutes of video games here and there.
Yeah, I by no means was assuming that it was like, all right, guys, time to unwind. 4 hours of video games. Let's go. Between, I mean, making the amount of videos that you make in a given week, like 15 minutes is probably all the literal physical time you have
Yep.
in a day between sleeping and filming and painting.
Oh yeah.
So you talk in one of your videos, actually, as far as painting goes, about like the models you really like from Forge World and the ones you don't. By the way, I completely agree with you. The two Forge World Knights, the one that has a large elbow joint that shouldn't be there, and then the one that doesn't. The Porphyrion and the damn it, the Mechanicus Knights that with like the really
Yeah.
chunky spheroid bodies. Looking at models like that, what sort of like painting approach? Because I know someone who's actually painting one right now. No, not the Megara. I have a Megara behind me. That was my 9-hour paint job. That was the we don't talk about that model anymore. Which I'm really excited. I have plans. You actually inspired me specifically with your little. See, I just switched topics so fast. The shoulder pauldrons, the little hanging shields that you did on your night with the green stuff. That
Yeah.
inspired me. My
In
plan.
the comments, somebody told me Milliput would have made more sense, and I totally agree. I think I would love to run that experiment again with Milliput.
You think it would? So you think it would be like cleaner lines, or it would just be quicker to
Yeah,
make?
I think it would capture it a lot, because green stuff, even when it's workable, it's still pretty hard. Whereas Milliput is very soft when it's freshly mixed.
Especially if you get a little bit extra water on it,
Yeah,
but not too much, because then you're making the slurry that you use for gap filling.
yeah,
Or the Milliput green stuff combo, the Millis stuff. When someone told me that you could 50-50 mix it, I was like, you're messing with me, right? Like I'm gonna cause like some sort of explosion by mixing these, right? And they're like, no, it works perfectly. So
I mean, it makes sense that it would work because it's just epoxies, but I don't get the purpose of it because I feel like Milliput and green stuff have like different applications.
yeah, the supposedly the idea is to you get a little bit less of, so like the reason why you take Milliput is it dries really hard and you can sand it and it holds sharper detail better, and then there's the
Mhm.
flexibility and the more work time that green stuff has.
Yeah.
But by combining them, you get a little bit more work time and a little bit more capacity to hold detail, and then it dries hard and you can sand it a little bit. I tried using it once for like a cloak and I was like, nope, wrong application, only green
Mhm.
stuff, pure green stuff for that. But maybe for something like that, I still would agree that Milliput is probably the decision. But what I'm going to be doing for my new Chaos Knight, because I pre-ordered that box, super excited for GW making another FOMO box. Not, but they I want to put a bunch of green stuff parchments, like, and I mean potentially cutting and detailing like 150 of little green stuff parchments of varying length all over the pauldrons,
Yeah.
all over them, and they're going to be like flowing like streamers. It'll be really cool. But I was definitely inspired by your. I'm like, oh my god, you can add things. As dumb as it sounds, you see conversions all the time on Instagram, and it just never occurred to me that I could do it too. It's just like, nope, this is how it comes out of the box. Go. And that's such a weird kind of scotoma to have, coming from the guy who converted literally every model in one, two, three armies that I've done. I've converted every model in it, and I should have thought I could do that with a knight. All right, folks, we've been chatting for about an hour and a half here. I will give you guys a few more minutes to ask questions, and then I'm going to let Jay start prepping for his stream, which is going to be happening here in about an hour and a half.
On YouTube.
On
I'll be streaming
YouTube.
live on YouTube.
On YouTube. Again, exclamation point Aeon we'll get you a link to his YouTube channel where you'll be able to catch him live. And I hope to be seeing all of you there because that's where I will be. Question: how often do you try new things while hobbying? So you'd like to keep it simple and do what works, or do you often experiment on new techniques for like basing or painting?
Always try new things. I'm always trying new things. None of my color schemes are set in stone. I'm always trying out new paints, new colors, new ideas, seeing what happens if I spray this through the airbrush. Yeah, I always try new stuff.
I heard someone
I think
say
it's the
don't.
only way to grow. I think for years and years and years, I painted just my Black Templar Space Marines, and I got pretty good at painting my Black Templar Space Marines, but nothing else.
I've heard as far as things not to put through the airbrush, liquid resin apparently is something you do not put through an airbrush.
Yeah, glues, resins. Yeah, you want to avoid things like that.
I sealed my entire model by airbrushing Bob Smith Industries super glue.
Mm-hmm.
You'll never guess what happened next. Jay has a great way of breaking things down and showing the process that is used a little better than most I've watched. I'd agree. Question: what feature would you most want to see in a new miniatures game?
I feel like I don't need new. I feel like everything out there is great. I love Mantic's got some great stuff. Infinity is tons of fun. Star Wars Legion is crushing it. 40K, like Games Workshop's doing great. I feel like I don't need new. I can sit comfortably in this wargaming bed that's been laid out before me.
See, I like the one thing it's not a new feature because the feature exists. I would just like to see Games Workshop doing it because I think they would save a bajillion dollars not only in printing costs but also make money. Warhammer Plus already exists. If you gave me access to a digital encyclopedia of all the existing codexes, that would, because they're doing all these updates now, give me those updates quick, get them automatically updated, and even put it behind the paywall of Warhammer Plus. I'd pay for Warhammer Plus in a heartbeat if I didn't have to actually buy a physical codex anymore to have all my rules.
Games Workshop has two great sins. One of them is the price, and then the other one is their love of books. I don't get it. Books suck.
I do. So here's my crazy, like, they're never going to do it, but my dream idea. The idea that now, especially, that I buy this book and in 3 months, all the numbers inside it probably aren't going to mean anything is so dumb. But what if at the end of 9th edition, they're launching 10th edition, resell the core book and have made to order for all the armies. So you're like, I really liked 9th edition Custodes and I want to play 9th edition on my own for fun. You buy the 9th edition core book, and then you can purchase made to order the 9th edition book that will have at the end of 9th edition all the changes that have been made, all the points, updates, everything will be reflected accurately in a physical copy that, because they're going into 10th edition, will be permanent and they won't change. So your book will actually mean something and you'll always be able to play 9th edition with 9th edition rules all in one book, and you won't have to hunt down a bajillion PDFs that may have just gotten deleted off the internet the day you go look for them.
Yeah, I could definitely could not imagine them doing that. But
that absolutely
wouldn't be a
not.
bad idea. I mean, I don't know if 10th is coming. I almost hope it's not coming around the corner because they tend to do a 3-year cycle, except for 6th edition. But I feel like their game 40K could get to like a pinnacle state. I know they just did, the Kill Team just got a huge overhaul, and I think they made a lovely game, but there was an incredible amount of gnashing of teeth because they moved some things away from Games Workshop's typical style, like the list building, and I feel like more into a more modern style of gameplay. Because Kill Team, I feel like Kill Team is fun when you sit down, whereas 40K is almost like half the fun happens when you're sitting at your desk, spending hours list building and finding that your 5th plasma gun. I don't know. I love what they've done with new Kill Team. I think it's the best game that they've made so far.
I've got to finally give Kill Team a shot. I've got honestly, part of it was like, they're like, okay, the measurement system is now shapes for your movement. And I'm like, what? And it was just trying to wrap my head around, if they're all standard units of measurement, why wouldn't you just tell me that in inches? But
yeah, it's 1, 2, 3, 6. It's they made it more complicated than it was, really. I think just so that they could have something in the box instead of a tape measure. I don't know, but it is clunky. But I figured it out in the middle of my first game, and it's second nature now. 1, 2, 3, 6.
1, 2, 3, 6. See, if they had just told me that, like, if you put
Yeah.
all the shapes and then the number that corresponds with it, that's what I would have.
Mhm.
That would have been more than enough for me. But between you and again, like I said, Bricky, like, I know I will make a Night Lord's kill team at the very least. Maybe integrated into my Chaos Army either way. But
Also, you didn't hear this from me, but every pertinent rule for kill team is available on Warhammerpedia. Beautifully laid out, efficiently laid out. It's all right there.
oh yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. But if
Yeah.
something like that did exist, that sounds really useful. Ooh boy. Jay has hinted a few times at having a significant other. We'll be seeing in the "I got my new partner to paint an entire Warhammer army 24 hours" video.
Probably not. He doesn't. He's not very. He doesn't want to be on camera.
Perfectly fair. My wife, she makes greeting cards and stuff, as that's her hobby, paper crafting and stuff. She has been on stream with me before, but no one's ever seen her face. They've just heard her voice and seen her hands. So I totally get that. This is a very serious question. How has Nick's hairstyle resisted the change of time? Heart. Love Nick.
Well-
Also, that's cool. He worked on a Super Bowl.
Yeah. His hair actually changes kind of a lot. It grows, but I feel like people only see him once every couple of months because he only appears in videos once every few months.
So yeah, so from that perspective, like, he is just slowly traveling through time and looks the same.
Yeah.
But for all you know, he's just getting a haircut before every video that he appears on.
Mm-hmm.
Genius move. He looks like eternal. What? Okay, you know what, guys, I'm gonna give you like 10 seconds, and then I'm gonna let Jay get on with his life. So I'm even gonna hold up my hands. And this is accounting for the delay, y'all. This is giving you a chance. This is giving you a chance. Thank you for the resub, Cephalopod Studios. That guy, actually, Cephalopod Studios, makes he sponsors the channel because he's local to me. He's a one-man paint manufacturer. Makes a really good semi-transparent paint line. Like, you know, like
I saw a good comment way back. It was
Oh.
I think that there's any YouTubers deserve any shout outs, and I really love Battle Brothers Tabletop. He is a great source for kill team, just general kill team discussion, and he has some great videos on kit bashing and customizing some of his own stuff.
Okay.
And I said it before, Collective SG is a brilliant painter. He's a really interesting guy. He actually he works with toy prototyping. He's a really cool guy. Collective SG. If you want to see beautiful painting, check him out.
Collective SG, and you said Battle Brothers?
Battle Brothers Tabletop.
Because, I mean, if I'm going to get into Kill Team, I should probably start watching Kill Team content.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, folks. Give a big old pile of love to Jay. Thank you so much for your time, dude. I really, really appreciate it. Having this little YouTube pseudo podcast and having guests like yourself on is a huge honor for me, and it was a huge treat for chat, I'm sure. So without further ado, thanks, Jay. And to all of you at home, feel free to his links will be down below in the video description. Go check out Eons of Battle on YouTube and Instagram. Check out their Patreon, where you can help support them making awesome content. Please go support our hobby friends. You know, it's just a button click. Go support our hobby homies. So I'll be ending the recording, and all of you have a wonderful day. Bye. And. Bye.